Hey guys, I'm just gonna start off by saying this is the last time I'm going to talk about this publicly. I didn't want to make this video to begin with because I haven't talked about this situation at all since the beginning, and I just don't feel like it's fair that everyone else has got to say something publicly and I haven't, because I've been a part of this too. First things first, I just want to say that I do not agree with the release of private information. I don't think it was necessary. I don't think it was right. I'm also just going to start out with some disclaimers before I really jump into my side of the story. I just want to say that despite everything that she's done to me and everything she's put me through, I still look upon her, and a lot of the times we had very, very fondly. I don't hate her after everything that's happened. I still don't hate her. I don't think I ever will hate her. As a person, she's extremely helpful. She's fun to be around. She comforted me quite a few times that I really needed it, and I will always appreciate that. It's hard to feel good about all of that and not regret it, because now it just feels like everything was fate, that she never really even cared about me. Which brings me to my next point, that it's just abundantly clear at this point that Billy was never in this relationship for me. She was in it for some other reason I don't really know at this point. She just has no regard for how I feel or any interest in not hurting me. And this is unfortunate because I do have very real feelings for her, which is why this has been extremely hard on me. I mean, I should blame myself because a lot of it is my fault. It's my fault for bringing her back so many times. It's my fault for thinking she would change because I had the right impression of her the first time I met her. The other thing I want to say is that people are treating her like she's some sort of hero for getting out of the relationship and being free, when she was the one trying to come back this time. She was the one trying to set forth terms to be back with us, regardless of the fact that I didn't want her back. I wanted to be done with the relationship. So I guess I'm just gonna start from the beginning and tell you guys my side of the story since December of 2015. Another disclaimer, I am not claiming to be 100% innocent. I am not claiming that Greg is 100% innocent. So basically I found Billy because she posted a picture and it got retweeted onto my timeline, and I tweeted at her to date me and to teach me how to do my eyebrows. She was dating somebody at the time, so I didn't pursue anything. I just said that as a tweet, and that was it. Later on down the line I saw that she was single, so I messaged her and I asked her, are you interested in girls? And I gave her my number. Originally, I thought that the relationship would be me and her and me and Greg, separate. I was gonna have a girlfriend and I was gonna have Greg. It turned into something else, which is okay. I was okay with that. But I did communicate to her that this would be just between her. Greg wouldn't be involved. And she understood that. So we talked for a little bit and we decided that we wanted to meet. We liked each other. So she flew up here. So while she was here the first time, she hung out with me the first maybe day and a half. And then after that, she mostly just hung out with Greg and followed him around everywhere. And that made me really, really uncomfortable. And I tried to express that to both Billy and Greg and tell them, hey, I'm not feeling comfortable. What can be done about this? I was just told I was being paranoid. Nothing was going on. She went home and I didn't have any intention of bringing her back because I just didn't have a good feeling about her. But I had really strong feelings for her on a romantic level and I wanted to bring her back. I ended up asking her to be my girlfriend and she ended up coming back in January. So when she got here in January, things were all right for a couple of days, and then we were all in an intimate situation, all three of us, and I got uncomfortable and I kind of stopped it and said I wasn't comfortable and that I needed time to get comfortable. And that just seemed to piss everybody off. And everybody thought that I rejected them and were generally feeling sad, I guess. So they just ignored me and hung out with each other while I hung out by myself. I was upset, obviously. They were upset, I suppose. But they were just hanging out by themselves, playing video games or watching anime or whatever. And I get a text from Greg asking if he can cuddle with her by himself while I just hang out by myself. And that just really kind of sent me over the edge. So I decided it would be best if I went and stayed with a friend for a couple of days until she went home, because I didn't want to be around her. I didn't want to be stressed like that anymore. And so I went to my friend's house. Greg said that was fine, and he told me that they weren't going to do anything that friends wouldn't do. I went to my friends and I decided, okay, I'm going to go back tomorrow and I'm going to just do my best to ride it out until she leaves, and then we're not going to continue. But when I woke up in the morning, Greg told me that they had cuddled together, slept in the same bed, and he'd given her a full body massage without clothes, I guess. So I decided, this is completely unacceptable Like, he knew where I stood. She knew where I stood. I had even texted her while I was gone asking her, hey, can you please leave my house? I want to come home. I'm not comfortable with the situation. I will pay to fly you home. And I'd gotten a response from her. So they were both very well aware of where I stood. So yeah, I decided that this is unacceptable. I decided that I can't continue to be with Greg, and I decided that we're gonna separate. He decides that he's gonna send her home immediately so that I can come home. He sends her home, pays like $1,000 to send her home early, and I come home and we talk, and we still decide that we're gonna separate. While I'm here, we've decided to separate, and I'm looking for a new place to live. Him and Billy are planning on moving in with each other, planning on being together. Like, not even a day after everything happened. There was no time in between. So then Greg decides that that's morally bankrupt of him to do, and that he wants to be single. So he tells Billy that he's gonna be single and to not contact him. Greg is extremely important to me. Our relationship is extremely important to me. And I decided that that was something that was worth fighting for me, and that we can go to counseling and we can try to make things better. After Greg contacted her and said, you know, I'm gonna be single, or I'm gonna be with Lainey, go to counseling, she continued to contact him and basically like beg him to still talk to her. She just basically said, hey, I think you should still talk to me because we have a lot in common and we have a lot of fun together, even though she knew that we were trying to work on things. And through all of this, I did not get an apology from her until I told the internet what had happened, and the internet came down on her. Then she wrote me some kind of bullshit apology that didn't mean anything. Then she also went live on YouNow and she trashed me and she misgendered me and said that my pronouns weren't valid. But for some reason, even after all of this, I could not get over her. I was angry for 2 months and then I missed her. I don't know. I kind of thought, you know, if it's been this long and I'm still missing her, there has to be something, you know, this has to mean something. One night at like 2 a.m., this is in like June, so like 6 months later, I couldn't sleep and I decided to text her. I told her I wanted closure because I couldn't get over her and I was still hurting. I couldn't figure out what to do, so I wanted some closure or something like that. But that just kind of spiraled into us talking again and deciding we wanted to get back together, because she claimed that she felt the same way throughout that 6 months, that she missed me and didn't want to date anybody else, and that she always checked my pages and all that. I don't know if any of that was true. I doubt it, but that's what she said. So we ended up getting back together. She ended up coming back here. We fought a lot because I was very insecure, and I'll admit that. That was my mistake. I was insecure. I caused a lot of issues in the relationship because of that insecurity, but that insecurity is rooted in what happened in January. It was very hard for me to trust that she wasn't after Greg and that they weren't going to betray my trust again and leave me for each other. That caused a lot of issues for everybody, and I will admit that that's my fault. But I also think that there was a big issue with the fact that I was clearly struggling and I needed some reassurance, and instead they would just both ignore me and hang out together if they were mad at me or if they thought I was being too insecure. And they would gang up on me and tell me I was crazy. And she took his side always, and he took her side most of the time. So it was basically like them against me most of the time. Billy now is saying, why didn't you stand up for me, or why didn't you not let him call me a loser? First of all, I don't dictate what he does. Second of all, I did not know he was going to release any of your information. I didn't even see it go up because I was busy. And lastly, you never stood up for me. You sided with him every time that he was mean to me. I'm not saying that makes the name calling okay. I'm simply stating that that makes her a hypocrite. Also, a few lies during this period. She lied about holding a guy's hand and being on his shoulders, which wasn't even a big deal. I wouldn't have cared. It's the fact that she lied about it that really bothered me. She lied about smoking weed and about drinking. See, my problem isn't necessarily with pot. I personally won't use pot. I personally don't want to be around people while they're high, and that's my decision. I don't think pot is bad. That's my decision to make for myself, that I don't want to be around and I don't want to do it. It's not my decision to make for somebody else. My problem is that she told us to our face that she did not smoke, she did not do drugs, she did not drink, and all of that was untrue. She was doing all that stuff while being with us, while telling us she did not do that stuff. That's the issue here, is that she lied to us, lied to our face. So, I mean, after all this, we're still together. Things are going all right. And she comes up for Halloween and she brings her friend. The trip started off really, really shitty. And like usual, I was being kind of put on the back burner and I was being ignored and excluded. And because of that, I got really anxious, I got really uncomfortable, and during an intimate moment, I kind of shut down because I was feeling so uncomfortable and anxious. And that just pissed everybody off again, because my insecurity was getting the best of me and affecting people negatively. I felt really bad. I probably shouldn't. It's my decision whether or not I'm comfortable, but I felt really bad that I hurt people's feelings, and I ended up apologizing. And so the next day, Greg comes to me and tells me, you know, this is going to be a true polyamorous relationship. I'm gonna do what I want when it's the three of us. And that's that. And I said, okay. Because I kind of took that as he's gonna do what he wants when it's the three of us together. And that was fine. I wasn't gonna be insecure. I wasn't gonna cause a problem. Apparently he meant that he was gonna do whatever he wants all the time, meaning they could exclusively do whatever they wanted. I was not sure what he meant, and I expressed to Billy that I wasn't sure what he meant. And again, this is my fault. I should have gone to him, and I should have told him my boundaries as well as her, but I didn't. And that is my fault. That I expressed to Billy, hey, I don't know what he means by this. I don't know if he just means like when all of us are together or when it's you two or he can do whatever he wants whenever. She suggested to me that I should tell her my boundaries so that she could keep the situation in check and that she would respect my boundaries. I trusted her with that. I tell her, look, I'm not comfortable with you guys like being exclusive yet, meaning I don't want you to kiss when I'm not included. I don't want you to have sex when I'm not included. And I also told her that I wasn't comfortable with all like the closeness on camera because I wasn't ready for that yet. That's what I said about the whole situation, is that I wasn't ready and I just needed time, and I would probably be more comfortable if they gave me some time. And Billy told me, of course, I would never do that to you, and she even told me if Greg tried anything with her that she would tell him to fuck off. Now I was feeling better about everything, and I get home the next day and Greg takes me upstairs and he tells me that they had sex. And obviously I'm very upset, and I tell him that I told her that that was not okay. I made my boundaries very clear to her that was something I did not want to happen. So I decided, I can't be with her after this. She very clearly cheated on me. So I broke things off with her. I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to talk to her. I wanted nothing to do with her. She gets angry and she goes out into the woods or the backyard. I don't really know. And she smashes things with a bat, and she smashes a pumpkin, and she writes out "fuck you" directed at me, and she makes a noose. How she was angry at me for this, I'll never know. So the whole time she's here, those next couple days, she just taking every opportunity to snap at me that she can. She yelled at me that I was a fucking bitch. She called me a snarky fucking asshole. She told me to shut the fuck up like 6 to 10 times. I didn't say anything like that to her. She also laughed in my face when I told her that she cheated on me. This whole time as well, she was basically trying to convince Greg that she was like better for him than I am, and saying things like, oh, our star signs are soulmates, which they aren't, so I don't know what other reason she would have to say that. She was trash talking me to him and complaining about me, basically trying to make me seem bad so that he'd like her better, I think. So we all decided to like sit down and have a talk about what happened, how we're gonna be civil. I'm trying to figure out like how on earth she's trying to justify the fact that she very clearly cheated on me, and she's just sitting there, saying, oh no, it was just too hard to say no. I don't know what that means, because I know Greg would not have done anything without her consent. And during that conversation, I find out that as soon as I had that conversation with her, she went down and started kissing him, initiating it herself. So she no longer has any sort of justification for any of this. And she decides she's gonna leave in the middle of the night. So she leaves, and then the next day she sends flowers to my house saying, I hope you have a good day, or something like that. So fast forward a couple weeks, I still cannot get over this girl. I don't know what it is. I really don't, guys, because I look like a fucking dumbass for giving her chance after chance after chance and letting her hurt me. I don't know how many times I can learn the same lesson from the same person, but clearly a lot. So I just am miserable. I miss her and I want her back. And I attribute this to some sort of higher meaning, that we're kindred spirits or something like that. And we eventually like set terms of her coming back. And these terms were that she wasn't gonna lie anymore, that she wasn't gonna do illegal things anymore, she wasn't gonna yell at me or cuss at me anymore, and that generally she was going to like right the wrongs that she did while she was up here, such as, it was just silly little things like putting a bow on the trees that she hit, or making a rope heart in place of a noose, things like that. It was supposed to be like some sort of healing thing. So she came back and things were good, generally good. We had a couple of really petty arguments, which we always do, but for the most part this trip went better than any other, and I was feeling very confident. And she left and we were on good terms, and she was going to come back on the 13th and be here for a while, but we were trying to push it back to a few days after because she was sick. But then she tells Greg that she smoked while she was gone, and I just said, this is my out. There's too many warning signs. I've been through too much. I need to take my out. We broke up with her. I basically didn't have any conversation with her besides saying, look, I don't want to fix things. I think that we are very different people. I think that we aren't compatible. I think we have different morals. I think we don't love in the same way, and it's time for this to end. And she agreed with me. She agreed that we're not compatible and that things needed to end. And we talked about how it was unfortunate that we couldn't still be friends because we get along really well and I have a good time with her, but I have no idea how to be her friend or to salvage some kind of friendship with her especially after all of this has blown up. And again, my problem with all of this is not weed. It's not just weed as a thing. My problem is that she agreed not to and she did it anyways. If she wasn't going to agree to do this, if she wasn't going to agree to not do illegal activity, she should have said that. She should have told us, no, I'm not going to do this. And I would have said, okay, then, you know, we don't need to be together, and that's fine. Because it is fine. If people aren't compatible, then they aren't compatible, and that's okay. That happens. But instead, she agreed, and she went home, and she did it anyways. Like Greg said in his video, he had already told her, or he had told her, that once it was legal, meaning she was of age, and in a state where it was legal, we would have no problem with it. And I even told her that, I mean, I told her this after the fact, but I told her if she had come to me and been like, you know, it's New Year's, my friends are doing this, it's a special occasion, I wanted to let you know that I'm gonna do this. I would have probably been pissed, but I would not have ended a relationship over it because it was honest. Even if she would have come to me the next day and said, hey, I did this and I'm sorry that I didn't tell you or that I agreed to not do it and I did it anyways, I still probably wouldn't have ended the relationship, but she didn't tell us until almost 2 weeks after the fact. So that's basically the full story of the relationship. Now I want to touch on a few things she said in her video. She's called the contract stupid and said that it had no place in a relationship. And, you know, I kind of agree, which is why when the contract was being made, I was saying a contract is not going to work. We should not make a contract. And she was saying, yes, we should make a contract. Both her and Greg had an idea to make a contract. So for her to blame that on us is completely ridiculous. Another thing she said in her video is that we don't feel bad or something along those lines, which is also extremely hypocritical because after everything she's done to me, she does not feel bad. She has never once felt bad. She's never apologized to me for lying. She's never apologized to me for cheating on me. She did apologize to me for cheating on me, but that was after Greg asked her to apologize, and it took about 10 minutes of asking her to get her to even say I'm sorry. She also talks about the terms that were unacceptable, which makes no sense to me because I had told her I don't want to reconcile things. I want this to be left where it is and we don't have a future. But her and Greg were still talking and trying to find some sort of condition that would make things okay, even though I specifically told both of them that even if she were to do something grand to make up for what she's done, I still don't know if I want to be with her because we're not compatible people. She hurts me more than she makes me happy. She acts like these extreme terms came out of nowhere and that we're trying to control her, but she literally asked to hear what extreme terms that he had come up with. He's also trying to act like this whole thing is just a big overreaction to her smoking weed, and it's not. It's not even about weed. It's about her continuously hurting me, continuously not feeling bad about it, and not having any regard for me as a human being or as her former significant other. And as you can see in her video, it was never about me. The only time she mentions me in that entire video is to call me Greg's significant other. Not somebody who she was involved with, of course, because apparently I was just fucking nothing. She just used me as a stepping stool to get whatever the hell she wanted. But this really comes down to me trying to look after myself for once in my life and to recognize that my happiness is important too. The first thing that I want to do in situations like this is run back immediately because the kind of emotional pain that I'm in right now it's just brutal and I want it to go away. And the only way I know how to do that is to, you know, take her back. And that's what I've done every single time, is I've taken her back to try to run from this pain that I'm feeling. But she has had such a negative impact on who I am as a person. She has made it impossible for me to trust anybody, even my friends. I think that everybody's out to get me. I think that everybody's gonna hurt me. And at the same time, she's also made me feel like I'm kind of worthless because she could just use me like that and not care, and hurt me like that and not care, despite telling me just a couple of days ago that she's in love with me. Regardless, I don't think this video is going to make any difference. I don't think it's going to make me feel better. I don't think it's going to make anybody see that what she did was wrong. I don't know when I'm going to be back on the internet. I'm not in a good enough place to handle all of this right now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Really, I hope you know that I really did care about you and what you did hurt me very badly. Bye.